Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Britton's Hangout Hour, episode 111. Um, I'm here today with Molly Macabre. How are you doing?
I'm
Or
doing well. How
hope
are you?
I hope I pronounced that right, because generally
Yes.
generally how I know it's pronounced is macabre.
Yes, that's
Um,
perfect.
Very good. Okay. She's written some stuff. She's an indie
A word or
author.
two.
What?
A word or two.
A word or two. Yeah, she wrote a book called Dark Bloom. And she's been kind of making the rounds here on BookTube. So, how are you doing this afternoon? Well, I already asked you that earlier, but
That's okay. I'm fantastic. Just enjoying a day off.
that's good. That's good. Um, um, yeah, I'm doing pretty good too. I got something to eat. I heated up some pizza.
Yum.
Mm-hmm. It's
Pizza is
good.
delicious.
It is. I worked hard for this pizza. Let me tell you, it was. Oh man, the other night when I went to get it, I I stopped and I got the pizza and I was coming out. And as I was coming out, I heard these four pops. And I was like, no, that can't be what I think it is. But then I see this car speeding up and going past. So I'm like, okay, maybe it was just a car like revving up or something, right? So I walk towards the car and I hear six more pops. I'm like, oh my God, those are gunshots. Oh no. So I get to my car. And unfortunately, the battery died, so I was just kind of stuck there.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I called my dad, and he helped me out. So thanks, Dad, if you watch this. But
You risked your life for that
I
pizza.
know, yeah, I did. I thought someone had
Wow.
messed with my car. I'm like, no way, that's coincidence, But no, I
Right?
guess not. The battery died.
Good grief. Yeah,
So
that's the worst. That's the worst.
yeah, that's the first time that's happened to me. I've had a couple, like I've had two accidents in one of my old cars, and nothing really else. I guess I'm fortunate it happened now. I've been driving for almost 8 years now,
Yeah.
so you know how it is. I don't know how old you are, but I'm like,
I'm 33, so I've been driving quite a bit. I had a car, well, actually, my car that I have now, I had a period of time, which was really fun, where it wouldn't start unless, like, I had to jump start it because my battery was going. And so I just
ooh,
carried around this little box, and every time I left work, I'd pop my hood and hook up my little jump box and jump my car, and it was super awesome. But luckily, my boss, her husband, repairs vehicles, and he was like, "Just shoot me the money for the battery. You don't even have to do anything. I will just stop by and grab your keys. I'll go out to the parking lot, put a new battery in." And he did, and I tried to overpay him, and he sent me money back, and he was so sweet. So that was nice to not have to because it was starting to get cold and I hated being out there jumping my car, but you got to do what you got to do.
yeah. I mean, I've only had two accidents. One, I was in the rain and I had looked down to check my phone by mistake, and then I slid into a lady's car.
Ooh.
So yeah. And then the other time, I was heading to that exact same college, and some lady, for whatever reason, had her car in reverse at the stop sign and backed into me. Very strange.
That is
But
strange.
but yeah, that car was cursed, to be honest with you. But, I got another one, ran for a good while, then I gave it to my cousin, and now I have the one I have. So there you go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, cars are a fickle beast. I we have a nice SUV, but it's like every month my husband's like, "Oh, we need to take it in for this. We've put way more money into it than we should have, and that's frustrating."
So how were the holidays for you? Were they good?
They were good. I worked Christmas Eve and then spent the evening with my husband's family. I was off Christmas. So we used to be open on Christmas, and when my husband was a sheriff's deputy, I used to just volunteer to work all the holidays because he usually had to as well. But we are actually off Christmas now. We actually closed down. Um, I worked New Year's, so it was good though. We had a nice, quiet holiday. It was nothing special, but nothing crazy or bad. So that's always a plus.
Yes, things not going wrong is always good.
Yeah, yes, no news is good news. How about you? How are your holidays?
They were pretty good. Spent a lot of time with family. Did some streams. Um, yeah, things went well.
Perfect. That's good.
Uncle was kind of being a dick, but that's kind of given. He's not a very nice man.
There's always got to be one or several in the family.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a little New Year's gathering and watched some sports and yeah, it was fun. But yesterday, which was January 1st, as of the recording of this, I spent I just kind of sat around. I started some new books because 2025. I took a short break. I finished Absolution. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take a short break for a couple days, and then I'll get back in the grind. So here's me back in the grind.
There you go. Yeah, that happened to me. So I was off the week before Christmas week. And I spent that week either my goal was to spend it either cleaning or writing. I wanted to focus more on getting into my manuscript. So my reading sort of fell to the wayside. I only listen to audiobooks when I drive. And of course, I was home, so I wasn't really driving anywhere. So now that I'm back to work and driving, I already finished an audiobook that I started last week. It was really good. Yeah, I have an hour-long drive to work, so I knock out audiobooks. Reading physical books, I love. That's my preferred method to ingest word. But by the time I get in bed at night, I'm already usually an hour or two past when I should have been in bed, and I read like 2 pages, and then I'm just out. So it takes me a while to get through. And the book I'm reading right now is, I think it's 520 pages. So,
Oh wow.
It's going to take me a while, but I'm loving it. I'm just a slow physical reader.
Well, what is it, if you don't mind me asking?
It's Scourge by Rodney McWilliams. He's indie author, great human, and he just finished my book recently. My book's half the size though, so I'm loving it. It's really good, really lovely descriptions. I'm really getting into the characters and just their whole backstory building, and of course there's a murder mystery involved so far, so I'm intrigued. I'm a slow reader.
That's fair. Really depends on what book I'm reading, because I fancy myself a fast reader, but sometimes there's those books you kind of have to take more time with.
Yes, absolutely.
This is fine. It's totally fine, but sometimes I like that leisurely pace.
Mm-hmm. I feel that way with audiobooks. Sometimes I read a book and I think that maybe I should have read it in a physical copy because there's so much to it. And listening is fine. Like, The Stand was one of them I listened to. It's like 50 hours on audio and there's so much going on and it's very in depth. And I thought, and maybe I'll reread it in the physical form someday. I'd like to. Whereas, more. Yeah, it is an amazing book. Whereas, some shorter, more fun, easygoing books are really easy to just devour on audio, and they're a lot of fun.
Yes. I'm one of my goals this year, I'm actually wanting to do more audiobooks, do what my friends call immersion reading. So I'll read a book and I'll listen to the audiobook at the same time. I thought that would be fun to try. I don't know if it's going to succeed because, I have nothing against audiobooks, and maybe as I get older, it'll change because, my time's probably going to get more sucked up in other things. But, yeah, every time I try to do an audiobook, I just get distracted really easy. I get distracted by something else.
Yeah, that's understandable. It took me time to really get acclimated to it. It was like there were books I wanted to read, but I simply did not have time. But I'm like, I have an hour-long drive to work. I could use that time. And I'm trying to think. I don't even know what the first audiobook I listened to was. It might have been Stephen King's It. I was like, I really want to read this, but it's a gigantic freaking book, and it'll take me forever because at home I've got kids. I'm trying to maintain a household. I hang out with my husband, play video games, what have you. So I just don't have the time.
Little kitties around?
What's that?
Chasing the little kitties around?
Oh, yeah. Well, that, and it's like, I'll open my book and it's like, hey, mommy, look at this. Hey, mommy, check this out. Hey, mommy. And which is fine. I love it. I'm not, by any means complaining, but it's like I'll read, I'll sit there in the living room with my kids in there for like an hour and I've read one sentence. So I was like, I really want to read these books. I don't have a lot of time to read at home. So I started listening on Audible, and I was like, and it was hard at first because I'm like, my mind's drifting and I'm looking at this and then I'm thinking about
like,
this.
ooh, car, that's a nice car, or something like that. I don't
exactly. Or look at those cows. I don't know. But I just had to focus and get to it. And some audiobooks are really fun as far as performances and just the last one I listened to had sound effects and music. It was really crazy, but it was a lot of fun, and I've gotten used to it, and now I can listen and read and join the conversations about these wonderful books.
Have you listened to the Pet Sematary audiobook that Michael C. Hall did?
I have not. I read Pet Sematary a long time ago, but really I haven't. I did listen to The Dead Zone, which is narrated by James Franco, and that's probably my least favorite Stephen King book. Did not enjoy The Dead Zone. The narration was fine, but yeah, I thought that was wild. I think that was my first like celebrity narration. I didn't know that was a thing until I saw that James Franco narrated it, and I was like, all right, well, this should be interesting.
Yeah, he's done a couple of audiobooks, I think.
Didn't even know he did that. It's really cool.
Yeah, I've even seen Stephen King do a couple of his audiobooks himself. I don't know how good he is at reading them because, again, I don't like the few audiobooks I've listened to. I listened to Pet Sematary by Michael C. Hall. I don't know if you like Dexter, but he was Dexter for a long time.
Yeah, love Dexter.
I'm not surprised. And the First Law trilogy. The guy who did that, his name's Stephen Pacey. It's phenomenal. Okay. Really like how he kept my attention. Believe it or not, you throw a party. He kept my attention through most of it. There were a couple times I had to go back and I read them physically at first, and I listened to the audiobooks. I'm like, holy crap, this is great.
Yeah, that's a feat. And sometimes it's not even that the narrator is. Sometimes it's just personal preference. The man who narrated The Stand, when I started it, man, his voice was just very slow and drawn out. I was like, oh man, this is going to be a long 3 months. But honestly, it just once you get acclimated to it, it just becomes what it is. And, probably a week in, it just became the norm and I got used to it. So it can be done.
God, what's an audiobook I didn't... I've listened to like snippets because I have Audible because I have an Amazon account.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to one for Lonesome Dove, and the guy sounded like he had emphysema or something. He would make like these really like breaths during the... It was like, what? Who made this?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, it was bad. It was real bad. But
sometimes it throws you off too because they don't sound like what you think the character would sound like, which I know that's like being super picky at this point because, you need to match up to what I am picturing in my head. Come on. Mm-hmm. But, it's little things can throw you off, but I love my audiobooks.
Yeah, they can be fun. I'm trying to do more of them this year. Because I don't know, why not?
Yeah. It's a great way to ingest books and do it in a timely manner, especially if you have a commute like me.
Yeah, I mean, last year it was really... I can't believe I'm even saying this because it felt like 2024 just started, Yeah. I still have vague memories of last year starting. So
that's okay.
I'm like, what is going on? We're barely into 2025. And yesterday there was a terrorist attack, or an attempted terrorist attack. I'm like, my God, guys, can you wait? I hate to say this. I'm going to sound like a dickhead here, but, like, can you wait a few days before you do the terrorist attack? Like, we're barely in 2025. Like, go away, Al-Qaeda, or ISIS, or whoever it is.
my husband is, my husband's a veteran, so he
Mm.
keeps up with all of that stuff. And he was already texting me this morning, like, we're not doing concerts for a while and we're not going to go out. And I was like, and, part of me is like, okay, the concerts we go to are like these tiny hole in the wall bars. And it's, we're not going to see like, I don't even know what artist is really, I don't know. We're not going to see like Taylor Swift or anybody, but if it eases his anxiety, I'm totally like, yeah, that's fine. I don't like leaving my house anyway. So you know what? You don't have to tell me twice. But yeah, it's crazy what's going on and what will continue to go on, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was just, oh, man, But
we could at least have the illusion that it's going to be a great year,
Well, it's only just started, so I mean, it's. But yeah, 2025. I mean, it started with a bang, no pun intended.
It certainly did.
But yeah, you wrote a book, a post-apocalyptic book called Dark Bloom. That's pretty cool.
I did. Thank you.
It's not a lot of. I mean, I guess there is some indie horror. I know there is. I just haven't really given it a fair shake. But you're a part of it, though.
Yeah, it seems, the communities, especially on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. I was actually just talking about this with another horror author. It's a lot of science fiction fantasy, which is awesome. I love being there. I love the authors there. I read science fiction fantasy from time to time. I try to stay in my genre. At least I try to do every other book just to maintain that genre and that train of thought. But yeah, the science fiction fantasy community is huge, and I love everyone there. But I would definitely like to see a bigger horror community, and I've got several friends on X that we're cooking some things up, and we'll see what happens. But just to put our names out there and allow other horror authors to come be a part of our little family. So I think that would be cool.
Well, I mean, there's an indie thriller. I'm reading it right now. It's called Sledge versus the Labyrinth. Though I don't know if it's really a horror book. Kind of is. I wouldn't want to be hunted by dark web assassins. To be fair,
definitely not.
That's
yeah,
scary.
It's definitely a gritty. I loved that book so much. It's definitely gritty and dark, for sure. So you know what? We can call it horror.
Has horror elements, at least.
Yes.
I'm only like 60 pages in, so I'm totally talking out of my ass here. But I saw you. I saw you talk about it. Did you read it, or are you reading it, or?
Yeah, I finished it last month. That it was a great read. It's it tricks you, and I don't know if you've picked up on this yet, but I would get in bed at night and I'd be like, well, I'll read one chapter and then I'll put it down and go to sleep. Well, one chapter is like 2 pages, and then I'd look to the next and be like, well, the next chapter is 2 pages, and the next one's 3 pages, and I'm like, next thing I know, I've read 10 chapters before I went to bed.
Yeah.
So I loved that book, though. When I started it, the tone of the book hit me in a way, not in a negative way. It was just unlike anything I've ever read.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say it threw me off. I don't know if there's a way to say it threw me off in a positive way. But I just loved it so much.
You?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good way to put it. It definitely surprised me. I guess surprise kind of dictates that I had some sort of idea in mind, though. It had a great tone. It had a different, unique tone that I really loved, and I couldn't get enough of that book, and I'm very excited to see what Nick does in the future.
I was a bit surprised by how funny it was, because I was kind of, on the one hand, I was kind of expecting this kind of like, I hope Nick doesn't get mad at me for saying this. I'm sure he'll be fine. He's a cool guy, but I thought it was gonna be kind of cheesy. I thought it was gonna be kind of like this, kind of, edgelord, 80s action movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
It does have that. It has that gritty tone, but like there's it's pretty funny at points. Like there's some good humor in it so far. So
there is. Yes. Yeah, I can remember like he would end on a chapter and I would just be laughing and just so excited to jump to the next one.
Or sometimes he'll be like, "Oh, this guy tried to assassinate me, but now we're good friends, so it's all good. We settled it." I
I
was like,
really liked I really liked that too. It was
I'm like,
cool to
okay.
see. Yeah, it was cool to see that though because Sledge had a very he was just really cool about it. He was like, I'm just a dude trying to get stuff done and he's just a dude trying to get stuff done and you know what? He tried to kill me, it didn't work and now we're just going to get stuff done together.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm at the part where he meets that assassin called the Wraith. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to getting to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you wrote a book called Dark Bloom, which I really like zombie stuff. I used to be terrified of zombies when I was a kid. I watched the Romero films when I was young, and I was probably too young to be honest with you. But it really spooked me out. But I don't know. I like to test my limits, so I do like those movies a lot. And I read The Walking Dead, the comics, and I watched the show, which I enjoyed for many years. And so yeah, you like zombies? Is that?
I like zombies. I'm really intrigued by post-apocalyptic worlds and the I guess
Have you
what
played The Last of Us?
I have not because
No.
I know I watched the show and I looked into it because I wanted to play, but it got really mixed reviews on Steam for playing on PC.
Oh.
I guess it's more PlayStation, but I pretty much played any other game you can think of. State of Decay. What have I been playing? State of Decay is what I've been playing recently. But like Left 4 Dead and then Scum, which is up and coming game. I've tried DayZ. I wasn't a fan. Played a lot of good zombie games. But I am interested in more so how humans make their decisions after there's no consequences, there's no law, there's no real moral structure anymore. There's you can be whatever you want and make whatever decision you want with little to no consequences other than, of course, if it affects your survival. And that really intrigues me. So zombie apocalypse was really fun to write, but I'm just really interested in any kind of apocalypse, any kind of end of the world scenario.
So are there any baseball wielding maniacs in your book?
No.
Dang.
No.
That's unfortunate. I'll still read your book though, but that is disappointing.
Yeah. There's some badasses though.
But yeah, I did see a couple of interviews you did to kind of prep for this. So it's about a woman named Kate and a former veteran named Nick. Am I warm here?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they team up during this really weird zombie apocalypse thing that's going on.
Yep, they do. They're both kind of coming from really difficult pre-apocalypse situations, and they meet, and they're both not really interested in trust. Well, Nick's kind of excited to have a companion, but he's not really wanting to trust anyone. Kate's not really excited about having a companion, but she has to think about the fact that survival kind of is the top of the list right now, and she tries to put a lot of those.
She's gonna have to put up with it for the moment.
Yeah. And then they just go on some crazy adventures, deal with other survivors, other zombies, of course. And they obviously have a goal of, like any type of apocalypse situation, their goal is to find a safe place. They don't make it there, but they go on a lot of wild adventures and deal with a lot of things throughout. So
there's zombies. There's probably bad people. Maybe some good people. Who knows?
Yes.
Yep. I don't know. That's kind of my guess of what happens. I don't know. I haven't read it. So
it's pretty. It's got a lot of typical elements of your typical zombie apocalypse, but it's very character driven. So you're not gonna get a lot of this is why this is happening or this is how this happened. You get a little bit of explanation. It's third person limited, so all you really get is what Nick and Kate know. And I just imagined if I were in that situation, I probably wouldn't have any idea of what the cause was. The media would, of course, probably be going crazy with reasons, and probably none of them would be true. So we're not really looking at an overview like a World War Z type deal. It's more just what these two characters go through, their journeys, how they sort of have to learn to trust in order to survive, how they deal with other humans, and just sort of their journey on their way to try and find this safe place where they can maybe call home, or at least be safe for a moment and take a breath.
That's another fun audiobook, World War Z.
Yeah, we were talking about that on Twitter because I'm gonna start it on Saturday when I go back to work. And I was kind of asking what people thought about it. The consensus is that it's well loved. I knew it wasn't like the movie. I know the movie pretty much just takes the name of the book, but I've heard the book is really good, so I'm excited to start that. And it's got a bunch of different actors in it. Martin Scorsese, and a bunch of others that I can't think of at the moment.
Wow, that's interesting. Martin Scorsese. I forgot about that. I knew Mark Hamill was in it, and a couple other people.
Yes. So.
Yeah, no, it's but yeah, no, I imagine it's not really like World War Z. Doesn't sound like it. If I remember right, isn't Kate escaping from an abusive situation, or did she escape?
Basically the apocalypse was what helped her escape, because her captor succumbed to the events of the apocalypse, and so she was being kept in a basement by her boyfriend and enduring torture and abuse there.
Oh. Oh, well, all right. I hope that's not a spoiler.
No, so the book does go back and forth a little bit. There are like flashbacks and some memories sprinkled in, and so that's a chapter, but it's well known that that's what happens to her. Like, from you figure that out pretty close to the beginning, that she definitely endured something wild before the apocalypse started. So
yeah, no, I haven't. Well, that's okay. I yeah, I haven't really. Well, I don't have too much context about what this book is about aside from that. So, I think I also remember you saying like the virus you use in this is actually based on a real thing.
very, very artistically, yes. I wanted to do zombie apocalypse. I didn't want to go too deep into why, but I wanted, for my own, I guess, to help me with writing, I wanted to know what caused it. I was looking into diseases with zombie-like symptoms, and I stumbled upon the Kuru disease. It's in the same family as like the mad cow disease, so contaminated brain and spine matter.
Ugh.
Yeah, it starts out with like physical symptoms, where you're losing your motor function, and then once it passes through the blood-brain barrier, you start to get psychological outbursts. And one of the things that the Kuru disease listed was, such as laughing. And I thought that was deliciously creepy, and also reminded me of a video game that I play where the zombies laugh. Like, that's how you know that they're nearby, is you just hear this, unhinged laughter.
Wait, so if it
And
affects your brain and spine, like how are you able to walk, or can you not walk?
as the disease progresses, the bodies start to deteriorate. So some of the zombies are quite spry, some of them are not. They're kind of losing their motor function.
So they stop walking.
They hobble, or their muscles are breaking down.
Okay.
But the proteins are really, the contaminated proteins are good at building up defenses and sort of spreading and building and getting stronger.
Interesting. So that must have been fun trying to figure out like how to like maintain tension, unless you kind of like mutated it a little bit to where like they can move around a little more.
Yeah, it's basically a mutated version of the Kuru disease, and I'm not going to give spoilers, but there's more explanation in book 2 as to why some of the monsters are actually becoming stronger and
Oh,
figuring
okay.
out how to actually because with every disease, every organism has a natural I guess it mutates to continue its lifeline. It wants to be able to,
Spread.
like with yeah, exactly so there's actually explanation as to how it's continuing on and continuing to be passed from person to person because it's not a bite or scratch type thing. If you get bit by one of the monsters, it's not going to turn you or anything like that. So
Interesting. So, like they just like running. So it's like 28 days later where they like run and like beat you to death or like spit on you, and you get it.
some of them can run, some can climb, they can open doors.
They can
There's
open
a
doors.
scene
Well,
there's a scene at towards the end of Dark Bloom where one of them like bats a gun out of somebody's hand. So yeah.
so like if you get like spit or something on your face or something like that, would you turn into a zombie?
No, it would have to involve ingesting contaminated proteins.
Oh, okay, interesting. I might have to read the book to get more context to this, but these zombies sound kind of I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they're dangerous. I don't know. I'm sure put it like that, you're like, oh man. Well, unless again, it's like 28 days later where they can just like run and like maul you to death, like if they're a chimpanzee or something.
Yeah, it's not quite that intense because those were terrifying. Like I can't even imagine.
Yeah, and it takes like seconds, and you could be like turned into a frothing rage beast.
Yeah, that was also very intense. Yeah, it didn't take long at all. It was like one drop of blood and boom, you're gone.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, I don't know if you've seen 28 Days Later, but or I don't know if that
Yeah.
impacted you when you made this book when you wrote it. Maybe not. I don't know.
Well, what's funny is I thought I'd seen 28 Days Later. It's been around for forever, and it's just one of those movies that I've watched a lot of horror, and I was pretty sure I'd seen it. My husband was like, "Yeah, you've probably seen it." We actually watched it for the first time, I think 3 weeks ago, and I was like, "Man, nobody's gonna believe me that I've never seen this movie because once you read Dark Bloom, you're gonna be like." There you would think there would be a lot of inspiration there. Oh, such a good movie. But yeah, I'd never seen it. We watched it a couple weeks ago and then we watched the second one because all the hype with the third one coming
Mm-hmm.
out. I'm really excited for that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, no, I saw the trailer. I'm like, yeah, this looks pretty good. We'll see how it goes. I don't know why it didn't 28 months later, the bastards, but I won't hold it against them.
yeah, they have a plan, I'm sure.
Yeah, no. I really but yes, I really liked the first movie. I actually liked the second one. I know a lot of people dunk on it cuz characters make stupid choices in that movie, but I'm like, "You know what, guys? After COVID, it's not that unrealistic." So,
That's true.
suck on that.
Yeah, the first one definitely had a better storyline. The second one was just kind of raw zombie action. But I enjoyed it. And there were times when I was like, why would they do that? But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy the damn movie for what it is. And I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, my buddy was like, "Oh, they keep making stupid choices, like why are they doing this?" And he was being all swarmy about it. I'm like, "You know what? After COVID, I would think you would know better, Jason, than to think
Yeah.
that the government knows what to do in these situations." It's like when people
Yeah,
mock The
that's
Walking Dead because it's like these like slow zombies overtook the government. I'm like, good lord, the government incompetence right now makes that not entirely unrealistic, at least in my opinion.
yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you're making second decisions, so it's like to think that you'd make the perfect decision in a matter of seconds. it's just not feasible.
Yeah, and then again, it's we're just watching it from our homes. I mean, we have the like foresight to be like, oh yeah, you should probably do this. We're not like in the moment. If we were in the moment, we
Yeah.
probably wouldn't do much better.
Probably not. The third one is all filmed from an iPhone.
Really?
Yeah, the trailer was filmed using an iPhone, and the whole movie is filmed with an iPhone, which I thought was bananas.
It looks so good. I thought it was on regular film. What?
No, it's a iPhone. I guess whatever the new one is, the 16 Pro Max.
I mean, I love the first movie, but I'll admit it kind of looks like shit. Because they filmed it on like a on like a video camera or whatever it was. I mean, it works, but still,
When it started, I was like, wait, when did this movie come out? I was like, this looks like it came out in the 90s.
No, I think it was like 2002, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. So, I mean, not too far off. But yeah, it looks like shit. But hey, they made it work.
No, I mean, it works because, like, they're going for, like, I don't know, like a guerrilla style or something like that. And it's, like, it just works out. But, like, I'm like, this movie looks like shit. I'm probably I'm gonna probably get ripped for saying that, but
I agree with you. I was like, man, I don't know about this. I'm glad I watched all the way through because it easily became one of my favorite movies of all time. But I was like, I don't know about this.
Zombies are scary in that movie, though.
Oh yeah, they are terrifying.
They're basically like I mean, which is funny. I'm saying this because the whole apocalypse started because some idiot animal rights people let out these chimps who had the rage virus. But yeah, it basically turns into like an animal, or a gorilla or something. They'll just maul you to death or puke on you.
Yes.
Or
whatever
it wants to do to you.
Yeah, those were if I get a choice of zombies in my zombie apocalypse, it would not be those because very strong, fast, terrifying.
Yeah, no. Like they basically turn into like apes, like I don't know how they did that in that movie when it just would like how they made them move because it doesn't look natural, Maybe they like sped it up or something. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I enjoyed what they did though. For a movie that seemed like it wasn't filmed with great quality, like towards the end with what they did with the lighting was just really interesting as far as like they have like the slow flashes and everything is so suspenseful, and I thought that was really artistic and well done.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the comments. Are like, well, actually, it was on purpose, That's why it looks like crap. And I'm like, you know what?
Educate us.
I'm like, all right, you know what? I love the movie. All right, that's the main thing I'm trying to get across here.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I've been guilty of doing that as well. So I guess I have no real room to judge about it.
Well, I've seen, with all the hype of the third going around, I've even seen people on TikTok who were like, actually, they're not zombies because they're not actually dead. They just have a virus.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, people, stop.
That is technically true. That is technically true.
It is true. But I mean, you show a creature like that to anybody and they're like, yeah, that's a zombie. I don't feel like it has to have a specific set of criteria to be labeled as something. I don't know. It was silly.
Unless you're from Haiti and they're just pissed off that we stole their idea of zombie. Because, apparently it comes from, like, voodoo. Like, you just turn... It's basically like brainwashing.
Right. That makes sense.
And you just kind of turn into, like a slave, which is pretty creepy on its own.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember cause I was a weird kid growing up. I would read these weird, I loved reading, monster books and stuff about, the Loch Ness Monster and God, what else? Yetis and UFOs and all that. I was a big Unsolved Mysteries fan. I ate that up.
Yeah.
And there was one I read about, zombie, where it comes from. And, there's this story of this Haitian guy who... This dude this guy got, I guess someone got mad at him and paid this dude who could like make people into zombies. I don't know what the guy, I don't remember the dude's name. I don't remember what they call the guy who does it, but they,
Right.
like, one of his family members like paid a guy to fake his death and then turn him into a zombie, which not really zombie as we know it, but like a literal, like,
Right.
like, brainwashed, you
Brain
know,
controlled. Yeah, I
yeah.
gotcha. That's
And
wild.
he spent like several years under the dude's control until finally, like, I guess the guy, like, finally, I guess one of them snapped out of it and killed the guy, so it wore off, and he managed to get home.
Wow.
It was really weird story. It's just like really freaky. I'm like, I'm surprised no one's like tried writing this as a novel yet. But anyway, because
Yeah,
that would
because
be
that's one of those things that is still in the realm of like, this could happen.
and even his,
It's
like
not
when he
some.
came to his family, they're like, "What? You're dead?" He's like, "Nope, I'm not.
Oh my
You won't
gosh.
believe where I've been the last like 20 years."
That's wild.
No, it's
Yeah, could you imagine?
yeah, no. Like I read like scary stories to tell in the dark. I don't know if you've ever read
Mm-hmm.
those.
Yes.
But like with those original illustrations too. Oh my gosh, I was having weird dreams when I was a kid.
Yeah, and then they came out with that movie, and my oldest watched it, and she was kind of creeped out by it. She's seen a ton of horror movies at this point, but I thought they did a good job with it.
Yeah, no, it's good. Um, I guess I should ask like what are some of your favorite like horror related things, rather it be like books or movies? I know you mentioned Stephen King.
Yeah, I love some Stephen King. It is my favorite book by him. Gosh, horror
Oh, you mean
movies.
like the book It is your favorite one
Yes,
from him?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Horror movies. So I do enjoy the '80s slashers. All the Friday the 13th. The
Mm-hmm.
Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween,
Mm-hmm.
all that good
Yeah.
stuff. Um,
You like Scream? Have you watched Scream?
yes, I
Okay.
do like
Yeah.
Scream. I like it. I consider it one of the classics. My husband hates it. It's so funny.
What?
Yeah, I
How
know.
can
He's
you
like,
not
it's
like
just so.
Scream?
I know. He's like, it's so corny. I'm like, that's part of the point.
Yeah.
um, Man, a movie that I saw when I was way too young to be watching horror that really tore me apart. That I didn't even realize was Stephen King's Silver Bullet.
Oh,
I don't know if you've seen
I have
or.
not. I wanted to because I'm a big werewolf guy. So
Yeah, it's got Gary Busey in it, and man, I haven't watched it since I was a little, so I need to do that because I'm sure if I watched it today, it would probably be really silly. But man, I remember that just terrifying me. Um, I like, A Quiet Place, Bird Box. Those are some good ones. I read Bird Box. Well, I listened to it on Audible. After I watched the movie. I loved both. I thought they did a really good job with the movie, although they changed a couple things. It was a good read as well. Definitely one that kept me on the edge. Um, Other horror things. I like Josh Mallerman. He wrote Bird Box, but
yeah,
he recently released Incidents Around the House. That was
I've
really,
only read Bird Box from him. So
yeah.
I've heard mixed things
Um,
about his other books though. Like
I haven't gotten into anything else, but Incidents Around the House was really good.
like
Really
I
good.
want to read like his western one he did called Unburied Carol. I'd like to read that. This one he did about like a pig. It's called Pearl.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
Man.
I'd like to try more of his. Is the point I'm trying to get across here.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I really enjoyed the two I've read from him. I did really enjoy.
yeah, no, uh, um, yeah. How do you not like Scream? Tell your husband, shame your husband for me.
He's silly. He likes horror, but he definitely is like slasher films pretty much. He does not do, not that Scream's paranormal, but he just has very specifics of what he likes. He will not do paranormal, like, The Conjuring or anything like that. He's like, nope, not can't do it. It's, and I'm like, but slasher films are more of like realistic, like that could actually happen. Whereas, paranormal, I just look at, I was like, well, that's, that could never happen. So I don't know. He's got his tastes. And that's okay.
Fair enough. I mean, so you guys like video games? So
Yes.
this is one called Scum. So like, I remember you describing this, and I'm like, so it's not out yet?
It's in beta. So it's been in beta for probably 4 years maybe, and it's at like version like 0.95 or something like that. It's close to its full release, but I mean it's available on Steam. It's just been a long 4 years of working through bugs and adding in new content and such.
So it's not like an official game yet?
I mean it's an official game, as like anybody can buy it and play it. It's just still, I guess, being worked on, still in development.
Okay. All right. Played like Resident Evil. Played Resident Evil.
It's been a long time, but yeah, I played some Resident Evil.
Okay. Yeah. Those movies are kind of a guilty pleasure for me. The ones like at least the first three, I kind of like them. I think they're fun.
Yeah.
I enjoy them a bit.
Yeah, that and Silent Hill. Silent Hill is a good one.
I haven't played Silent Hill.
Yeah, it's a good game, good movie. I actually wanted to go to the place in West Virginia where the fires were still burning underground. But after reading about it, you can't even really see anything. Like you drive through and you wouldn't even notice at this point. So
that sucks.
I know.
I went to a haunted hotel, or allegedly haunted hotel, I should say. Out in Oklahoma, and it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
We didn't see anything, but we were just kind of like looking around, and like, ooh, look at that, ooh, like we did see like a what are those, like, bed sheet flapping around, but I think some lady was just moving it out of the room, and we got spooked out. And
probably
went in the elevator. But
that's really cool.
But yeah, it was fun. I would like to go again. It's a nice little place.
Yeah.
Even though it's allegedly haunted, so they say.
Was it like why do they say it's haunted? What just so many, I guess so many bad things happen at hotels all the time, so.
Well, there's one that said like a lady got dumped by a Sorry. There was one who said like a lady got dumped by some guy, so she jumped out of the window. That's one. Which, I don't know if it's true, but
right.
It probably happens. I mean, that probably happens in real life, I don't remember. That's the one I remember, though.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's the one I remember. That. It's the other ones I think I'm getting mixed up with other haunted, because I was a weird kid. I liked reading about haunted stuff and
oh yeah,
ghosts and shit. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Oh, it's Pennsylvania is where the Silent Hill site is, Centralia. But I was thinking West Virginia because so we go camping. We have a little camper that we go, campgrounds and such. But I guess it is next year. In September, they're having a Mothman festival in West Virginia, Point Pleasant. Yeah, so we want to camp and check that out. And I have like a weird obsession with the Mothman, so I think that'll be fun.
That's cool. That's cool. I know the story of the Mothman well. I've heard. Yeah. There was a couple sightings and a bridge collapsed and they never saw it again. It was really. So wait, where are you at then? If you're.
I'm from Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not too far from West Virginia or Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no, it's cool though. That's been like 50 years, right, since they allegedly happened.
Something like, yeah, maybe a little bit longer. But yeah, and then of course, everything that happens in that area now is attributed to it was the Mothman.
I bet they have so much cool merch,
Oh my gosh, I know, I'm so excited. And so I don't know if you ever play any Fallout, but in
I
Fallout
have.
76, you can go to Point Pleasant. You can see that statue that's at Point Pleasant in Fallout is actually the same statue that's in West Virginia of
Oh,
the
that's
Mothman.
cool.
Yeah, so that definitely exacerbated my obsession with the Mothman in real life, was playing that game. So
Did they put any like Mothman in there, or was it just that statue?
in the
So
game,
yeah, because that would be
oh
pretty
yeah,
fun. They put that
oh
in the
my
game.
gosh, they have a lot of things. Aside from like things you can have in the game, furniture, and you can have like emotes that have to do with the Mothman. You can come up on the Mothman sometimes and fight him. Or where I built one of my camps was next to a church where the Mothman would sit up on a ledge. Not all the time, but sometimes he would just be hanging out up there. And so the Mothman has cultists in the game that worship him and do his bidding. So I'd go fight off all the cultists and then go up and take a picture with the Mothman. And
You just
they run
fight them
events.
off and you take selfies with.
Yeah, I'm like, I just killed all your people. Take a selfie with me. And then they run events all the time where just you do random tasks for the Mothman and do random things and
That's
like fill up
awesome.
altars, and oh yeah, it's a
Making me want to
blast.
get
I
Fallout
love it.
76 again because I like got it for a little while and it was so buggy and bad. I had to like maybe they've cleaned it up. I don't know.
I haven't. I've come across a few things, of course, but nothing super terrible. It's a lot of fun, especially with friends, because my husband and one of my other buddies, they got really high up in levels and had everything figured out, and they were like, I make my buddy, every time I make a new camp, I make him come over and hook up all my electricity because I could never figure it out. But it's fun with friends for sure.
Yeah, I really like New Vegas. In terms of,
That
I don't know if you've played New Vegas,
mhm.
but it's probably my favorite. I enjoy that a lot.
I liked that one
The
too.
graphics are a bit dated, but that's probably because they had like a year to make it. So I'll cut them some slack there. But man, the story really makes up for it, I think.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was probably one of my favorites as well.
I haven't played the old ones like Fallout 1 or 2 because I've had some people, my more hipsterish friends, tell me like, "Oh, those are the true great games." I'm like, "All right, I'll try them out."
Yeah, I don't think I've played either. I know there was one I played way back in the day when I was like the first time I ever tried out like Final Fantasy, or I think I even dabbled in God of War. But I couldn't remember which one it was.
Yeah, I mean, I like the like factions and the like weird. Did you watch the show of Fallout? I mean,
I did.
did you like it? I thought it was pretty good.
I loved it. I loved it.
I thought it was pretty good. Like I watched the first couple episodes and I'm like, oh, that's fun. And I watched it and I'm like,
Mhm.
man, this is actually pretty good. It's one of the like better video game adaptations I've watched.
Yeah, they did a great job as far as incorporating a lot of things from it, but also keeping with a really good, interesting storyline.
Hmm.
So yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, like I actually liked seeing Rico solve the mystery of the vaults. It was
Yes.
pretty awesome. I don't know if you watched
Yeah, that's
Hannah Montana back in the day, but that's where I know her brother from.
oh, okay. Oh, hold on, sorry.
There's a dog. I
Yeah,
think our
my
talk
dog's
of ghosts might have triggered a dog a bit.
Yeah, that's a fun like kind of wormhole to get sucked into, is reading about all the different vaults and like all the experiments that they were doing on all the people. They had a vault specifically for like where they would tell everybody that they were all in charge and like see how that played out, just social experiments. And another where they were all like addicted to different substances and see how that played out. So it's a lot of interesting reading for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm a big lore like world building nut, so I'm always fond of going through that when I play games. Um
Yeah.
I really like I don't know if you played Skyrim back in the day, but
Oh
Skyrim
yeah.
is that you can just kind of I don't think it's as good as like a Fallout New Vegas for one thing, but I really like the lore and kind of running around like I'll make my character look like Conan and run around and mod the crap out of it. Fun times.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Skyrim was good. I started with Morrowind on Xbox, and it had this really fun bug where you would get to a certain save file, like a certain amount of save file, and then it would just delete your whole game. So I would just play until I got to that, and then I guess it's time to start a new character. But I love Elder Scrolls. I blame them for my preference in games, as I'm not a fan of storyline based games where it's like, you know, you can only do this and nothing else. Like I need an open world. I need to have options. I need to, like, there can be quests, but I want to choose what I do and when I do it. So Skyrim and Morrowind definitely spoiled me in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I don't know if the story of Skyrim is as good as like New Vegas, but I enjoy playing it. Running around the world and doing stuff and getting
Oh yeah.
things and getting those cool swords and one-shotting
Yeah.
bad guys with my bow and arrow. That's always fun.
Yeah, it was such a blast.
Oh man, yeah. I also like open world games. So like you're not a fan of like shooters like Call of Duty?
No. No. I will play Fortnite with my daughter.
I can't.
And that's a little more laid back, but first person shooters stress me out. My husband likes Tarkov, Escape from Tarkov, and games like that, and they just stress me out. I don't want to be stressed out while I'm playing video games, so
Have you played Stalker?
I haven't. No.
Oh, I haven't either, but I've heard that's a pretty good game.
Okay. Yeah, I like to play like horror games are fun. There's like Autopsy Simulator, which is terrifying. Phasmophobia, which is ghost hunting. There's a ton of ghost hunting games now, but Phasmophobia really set the stage for that. That was really
Simulator.
Cool. Oh my gosh,
does the
dude,
body
that game
sit
is.
Up?
Yeah, it's like there is a storyline. You're in a morgue and you are basically you're there to just perform an autopsy at first, but things start getting crazy and you find out it's like everything's possessed, and you take a body back and then you bring it out, and the more bodies you autopsy, the crazier things happen. And that's probably one of the only games that have made me like actually scream and jump. So that one was good.
Yeah, I don't. It's kind of weird because I can be kind of a weenie when it comes to watching movies. Like I jump really easily, so it's just like I watched a movie called The Nun. I went to go see it in a theater. I didn't think it was a very good movie, but the jump scares, I was like, "Damn you!" People were laughing in the theater, so yeah. It's just like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, that's a good movie though.
It's part of that Conjuring movie.
Yes.
Universe,
yeah,
whatever the hell that is. I'm just like,
yeah,
right.
that whole storyline.
Which is apparently based on real people, though the stories are fictional. Like Ed and Lorraine Warren were real people.
Yeah, I've heard that. I haven't dove too much into that whole story, but I did hear that it was based off of something real, which I'm always wary when they say that something was based off of something in real life. Do you remember Paranormal Activity?
Oh yeah.
That advertises that it's based on true events. So I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to know like what happened, what were these true events. And I was reading that I guess whoever maybe directed it or I guess wrote the script or whatever, what have you, they were saying that like they heard noises in their house at night, and that was I was like, wait, that's it, that's the true story. So yeah, it's definitely good to go and read what the events
I hear
were.
voices, or I hear noises in my house at night. But
yeah, you could write a terrifying movie and make it based on real events.
I'm not gonna write a movie about it anytime soon. I don't think. But yeah. Going back to your book though. So like, how was it writing Dark Bloom? Or like, was it like a steady pace, or did you just kind of? Would you like wait a few days and just splurge it out, or like whenever it hit you, or like how did it happen?
I think when I was writing the initial rough draft, it was pretty consistent. Although, I was working, so I would often spend whole shifts at work just like playing scenes over in my head or thinking up ideas, and then I'd get home and get it all onto I want to say on paper, but it wasn't on paper. Um, After my first draft, I definitely took a hiatus from it for a while.
Mm.
I don't know if it was that I kind of lost the momentum for it, but I took a couple months off. Um, I had some beta readers, so I had them reading through and giving me feedback. And then once I got back into editing, it was just full swing from there.
Yeah, it's I was writing a Western novel, and yeah, I stopped for a while because it was just the momentum wasn't coming to me, and because like
Yeah.
if I start writing and I'm not feeling it, like I just feel like it's crap, Like I gotta
Yeah.
thinking about starting the second fantasy book that I've been thinking about for a while, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part is you definitely have to be in a certain mood to get through some scenes, and if it's not there, then you go back and read what you've written and you can just kind of tell that there's like the passion is not there
And
for it.
also, it also sucks because there's always that little voice in your head that's like, you should be writing,
Yes.
You should write something down
Mhm.
right now. I'm like, damn you, shut up.
Yeah.
I'm taking a
Yeah.
break.
Yeah,
Go
I get
away.
that too. If I'm at home and like the kids are at school and my husband's at work and I'm trying to get some stuff done, some laundry, it's like you could be writing right now and I'm like, "Oh, I don't really feel like it. I got all these things to do, but you could be writing." Yes. So I know. I hear that little voice often.
It's like a little monster in your head. It's like, right. I'm like, not
Yes.
right now. I'm tired. And it's like, right.
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm tired. I told you. And it's just like, right. I'm like, fine. Damn it, I'll write it. Go
Yeah.
away.
I think the worst for me though is sometimes I'll get up, be on my way to work. I'm tired. I'm not even really thinking about anything. And then I'll just get hit with this scene or just a mood that I'm like, man, I just want to write. And I'm, on my way to go work for 10 hours. So definitely can't do that. So either I'll lose it or I'll just think about it constantly all day long. And then hopefully get some semblance of what I had created in my mind, onto the computer.
Oh yeah,
So
I love when that happens. Or when also you're like, here's this cool idea, and I'm like, ooh, over there, and it's like, ooh, here's another cool idea, and I'm like, ooh, over there. Yeah, it'll drive you crazy.
yeah, I've had to learn to like jot down notes in my phone or on my computer or just something somewhere so that I can at least have something to grasp from. And sometimes it helps, sometimes it's gone.
I remember I was writing my fantasy novel, and I generally don't like when authors go like, the characters they just took the story from me, and I just that always annoyed me. And let me tell you, you might know this, but that is true. Sometimes you just be like, hey, they just want to do this today, or like this is what they're gonna do today. I'll just write it down. It's just you're like, okay.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had that happen so much as now as I'm writing my sequel. And I feel like sometimes it happens with a character that you don't even intend to have a big part or even really be a certain way, but I was writing a side character in my sequel and it was just meant to be somebody in passing and she definitely took center stage and became this whole other being that I did not intend or expect. So it can certainly be true. They can take over.
Yeah, no, it's like there was like it took me a while because the first book I wrote was one I'd wanted to do for a while and I've been thinking about for a long time. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna write this down. But I couldn't figure out what like the big thing was gonna be. I'm like, okay, is it gonna be this? Is it gonna be that? And then I read this book called Perdido Street Station, and I'm like, aha! And there's a creature in there, and I was like, aha! This is what I'll do. So, thank you, China Mieville. I'll give you a cut of the profits when I put it out.
Yeah, books are definitely, well, all media really is just a great way to get inspiration for sure.
But yeah, I'm like, I'll give you a cut of the profits when we're done here. So does Kate's like? So is it like? Did she kill her boyfriend, or is that spoilers, or is that like?
Um, it's in the past, so I mean, we can talk about it. She does. She kills her captor.
Oh, did he turn into a zombie?
No,
Okay.
I
Wait.
don't know that after what she does to him, I don't know that he would be much of a whole human being anyway. So,
So so if this gets from like contaminated food, like how? You know what? Maybe I won't ask that because maybe you haven't like thought that much about it. But I'm curious though. I'm like, because it's kind of because like when I read, it's sometimes kind of like a puzzle. I have to figure it out. I'm just weird like that. But
yeah,
also
I
I don't want you to
didn't.
inadvertently spoil things for me.
No, I mean, in the first one, it's just not really important. It's
Mm.
more like it's here. This is what we're dealing with. We're pretty sure this is how it happened, but we have really no idea because we're just trying to, freaking survive and get through life as it is now. And I guess I thought it through enough to give a reasoning as far as exactly every way that it spread was just, it's not written in, so I didn't stress myself over the absolute specifics of the contamination.
Fair enough. There's an apocalyptic novel I've been wanting to work on for a while. I started doing some work on it, but I just kind of stopped a few years ago. But it's like, what if magnetism went away? Because I remember I was in science class and I saw a video about what happens if that would happen. I'm like, ooh, that could be fun. So
Mhm.
I would like to still do that at some point, but I need to.
Yeah, that's interesting. That would be really cool. And well, probably not for the people on Earth, but that sounds so interesting.
Yeah. So thanks, science class. Not a big science guy, unfortunately.
There's a lot to it. I wasn't great in science either, especially not chemistry.
Yeah, don't ask me about viral diseases. I'm just, I like post-apocalyptic too, so maybe I'll pick up Dark Bloom at some point and give it a
Yep.
read. And Nick was in the military, so is he like he was in the military?
Yeah, he's in the Marine Corps.
Mm. My cousin is in the Marine Corps right now. She's actually home at the moment, but
Okay.
I didn't know that the Marines were part of the Navy until like a few weeks ago.
Really?
I always assumed it
Yeah.
was like a part of the army or something. And that was kind of why there was like that rivalry. I had no
Right.
clue. Like, because I thought like the Navy SEALs were like the Marines of the Navy. I did not know the Marines were part of the Navy. Like,
Yep.
that just, that, that just blew my mind. And I felt like a dummy for not.
Hey, I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things, I never really had any. I had a few people in the military in my family, but not anybody I was really super close with until obviously I got married to someone in the military. And yeah, I don't think that's just something I would have known either. So,
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he told you that it's part of the Navy, but like, um,
well, there's a joke that my husband likes to make, especially to his friends who, he's got other military friends. And so if anybody has been in the Navy, he likes to tell them, the Marines are a department of the Navy, the men's department. So it's so that's probably the reason that I know is because he's made that joke so many times.
that's funny. Well, yeah, I guess I just assumed that like, because they're like it's like the most hardcore like part of the military. I thought it was like part of the army or something. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
think I would have thought it was its own like completely separate thing, but yeah, part of the Navy.
It's weird. It's weird how that works. I don't know, but like but no, your character Nick is in the military, or he was in the military, but now he's not. So what's he doing during this weird apocalyptic event?
So, when we're going through the flashbacks, it talks about how he dealt with a lot of crazy things overseas. He did several tours in Afghanistan and Iraq, and obviously coming home was really difficult. And he's dealing with a lot of PTSD and a lot of depression. So at the start, when everything goes down, he's not really in a mindset of like, hell yeah, let's do this, let's survive. He's a,
I don't
he's
know if
just kind of
anyone
like,
would do that unless they're like, I'm sure there was a couple of people, weird, crazy people who would do that, but I don't know a lot of people who would do that.
yeah. Well, I guess he's not really survival focused because he's at a point where he doesn't really value his life at this point. So he's just kind of surviving out of necessity, out of like that basic human instinct that tells us we have to keep ourselves alive. He's Because of all the things he's gone through, he's alone at this point. His family's cut him off. He's lost everyone that he's close to.
Damn. What happened?
So he,
You know what? Actually, I'll you know what? I'll read the book and find out.
yeah,
I'm sure it's explained.
you'll get there. But
But
yeah,
like, damn, what happened? He has PTSD, guys. He needs support.
Yeah,
That's not a nice family.
It's not. His dad's a jerk, and his fiance has kind of just had enough of his shit. So she takes off. So, when everything hits the fan, he's alone, and he's like, all right, well.
I'm being facetious here. So, is this kind of like a meet cute of you and your husband in the apocalypse? Because
in a way, it's a kind of it's kind of a very artistic autobiography in a way. Even though Nick's character has been in my head for a long time, even before I started writing and probably before I met my husband, his general persona did exist, but yeah, I used a lot of characteristics of my husband in writing this.
Okay, I mean, like I said, I was being a little facetious. I thought you might find that funny, but no, I guess not.
No, it's pretty true, actually.
I mean, I guess there's worse places to meet somebody.
Probably.
Oh no, but you said it was kind of like a dark romance as well, so that's also why I asked. Would you say it's a dark? I don't even know what that means. I'm sorry.
Well, it's so I think when people talk about dark romance, I think they talk about there's no spice, and the romance itself isn't dark, but I'd say it's a romance that blooms in a dark environment. The world's shitty, but you have this companionship that blossoms from it, at least.
The world's shitty. I like that. I'll put that as a blurb.
Yeah. The world sucks. The romance is cool.
Yeah. No, but that's not a nice family. Like, he has PTSD, guys. Like, he needs support.
Yeah, for sure. It's been, with my husband's family is actually incredibly awesome and very
well, it sounds
supportive.
like it. You said you visited them earlier, so I'm like, I guess you guys get along. I mean, I'm not trying to imply that it's like a 1-by-1. I don't want to imply that.
No, for sure. But it is a good thing to bring up. Dark Bloom has a lot of themes in it that should be talked about more. And, my husband has a lot of veteran friends that he talks to, and they try to remind each other to check in on each other because a lot of what they dealt with was tough.
Did your husband serve well, I mean, like, did he actually see combat, or was he in a because my cousin is doing she's doing a non-combat. I forget specifically what it is. I think it's like medevac or something.
Okay.
But
so my husband wasn't in combat. But he was in Afghanistan, and his He was in motor T, which was like, I don't know the specific word, so somebody will probably be like, it's actually called, but his his general job was in motor T, but his specific job overseas was something called personnel retrieval and processing, which at first listen of that just sounds like, I don't know, some fancy like administrative whatever. What he did was he actually collected the bodies of the fallen and prepared them to go
Oh,
back to the States,
so
whether it was
like a
fallen Marines
mortician?
or essentially they didn't actually do like the medical procedures of it, but collecting them and bringing them back and then like collecting their belongings and I guess preparing them to I don't know how exactly it worked. I guess they would have had to do something to preserve the body from transport overseas, but I don't believe they did the entire autopsy procedure in Afghanistan. So I guess they prepared them enough to be transported back, and then
That must have been freaky, you know.
yeah, I can't even imagine.
Like
Yeah, they
look
would,
down, you'll be like, "Oh crap, I knew that guy." Oh.
yeah, or like if even if you didn't know them, they would find pictures of family members on them and like notes that they like letters that they had on them and stuff like that. So yeah, rough stuff.
Yeah. But you said it was also inspired by you and some of your experiences as well in life. I mean, would you like to go in on that a little bit if you don't mind? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah, no, we can talk about it. So, anxiety and depression have been something that I've dealt with. Anxiety, I started developing at like 6 years old. My parents went through a really rocky divorce, and so um, started dealing with that. Depression hit probably in middle school. So all of the depression and anxiety talked about in Dark Bloom is just kind of reiterating my own feelings and thoughts that I've had during those times. As far as like Kate's relationships and what she's dealt with, just I had a toxic relationship that I dealt with a lot. We were on and off for about 6 years, and while I wasn't physically in a cage, of course, just felt very trapped. It was very mentally abusive, and just a lot of manipulation as to like making me stay around and things like that. So definitely very, I guess, inspired is a strange way to use it as a way to build Kate, but that was very much fuel. And then just dealing with other relationships, dealing with things that happened too young, part of which was putting myself in bad situations afterwards. But I just kind of had a general sense from a very young age that love was like not a thing, you know.
So
After
like,
dealing,
so you had like an edgelord phase where like not I'm not trying to like denigrate on anything, but you know
no, it's fine.
you had like a edgelord phase where you're like nothing matters and
Yeah,
listen to
absolutely.
some emo and metal or I don't know. I know you like metal.
No, that's exactly what it is. You know, I was like, you know, so at like 14, I had a really bad experience with a guy, and I was like, you know what? This stuff obviously isn't important. It doesn't matter. It's not real. So I was very much like, I don't like happy music. I don't like happy movies. I was definitely very emo and jaded. But at the center of all of that, I did want to believe that it was out there. I just, you know,
And then
didn't
like
want to act like.
I guess like you met your husband, and you're like, yes, this is the chosen one.
Well, it took, I kind of feel like going through what I went through kind of showed me like, here's all the things you don't want in life. And so my husband and I actually dated in high school,
Oh,
but
really?
then, yeah, we dated for a little while, but then I went to college and he went to boot camp. So we split up, and he ended up coming home and getting into a really bad relationship. And I was
Ooh.
in my really bad relationship still. And it was like, for some reason, you know, both of our relationships ended like within a month of each other.
Huh.
And he messaged me and he was like, hey, and the rest is just history. So
So is that
you
really
know,
what happened? You sent you like a text or called you and was like, "Hey, let's do
it was on
something."
MySpace.
It was on MySpace. Wow, that's oh man, that was before my time. That was a little before my time.
Yeah, it was. That's how old school it was. So yeah, he messaged me and he's like, "Saw you and your man broke up."
that's that's so like you didn't joke like, wow, that's you're just creeping on me, are you? I see, I see.
Well, yeah, the bad thing is we were talking while he was in Afghanistan, but I was still with my, the guy I was dating, and it was behind his back, but it was just such a rocky situation. I was like, I would have to delete our emails before I got home from work, and I could only message him while I was at work because, my boyfriend at the time would go through my phone. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's
it
always a
was,
red flag right there. Ugh.
yeah, there were a lot of red flags, but it was
Again, I
just,
don't mean
there
to
was a lot
laugh,
of,
but like I was just
no, no,
like,
no, no, it's fine. Like, the thing is, I don't mind talking about it because, I mean, we're talking, my husband and I have been together for 12 years. So this is so far in the past that, it affects me not so much in an emotional way anymore, and it's easier to talk about.
yeah, I get that. Yeah, I've also been in therapy, so I also like I get I didn't know what intrusive thoughts were until I was like, oh god, how old was I? I was like maybe 17 or 18 because I'd always had them since I was a kid. And like I always thought like, okay, maybe I'm just fucking crazy or something, or like, there's like this, I don't know, because my imagination just goes wild, as you do when your brain just runs,
Yeah.
and then I learned what intrusive thoughts were. I'm like, oh, so I'm not crazy. This is just something that happens. So I've dealt with
Yeah.
that for a long time, and yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah. Therapy is a good way to go, though. It can be incredibly helpful.
Did you go to therapy?
Yeah, I've definitely done many forms of therapy.
I see. I see. That's well, that's good. I mean, therapy is good.
Hmm.
I actually did a video on my channel a few months back about mental health, kind of just talking about it. I opened up a little bit about some of the stuff I've seen, It's it can be hard to talk about, even like I always try to talk to my parents, and it's like it's kind of weird cuz I don't know if they really like understand how it works, It's like it doesn't go away. Like it gets easier to like kind of, like okay, this happened. I can move on from this. But like
Hmm.
like there's a part like it never fully goes away.
Right. Yeah, I think that's something that can be hard to come to terms with is somebody with chronic depression. It's going to be your friend for a forever probably, and it's not about getting rid of it. I think when I know when I first started dealing with depression, the goal was like, make this go away. We got to get rid of this. Obviously, this is negative. This is bad. And it was learning that, okay, this is a part of who I am and it's not going to go away. So now we just have to focus on what things can we do to make those dark times easier, and cope with them better. What can we do to, just kind of transition from one end to the other?
Yeah, it's well, I mean, I was more talking about like I generally try to be careful when saying this, but like traumatic experiences.
Hmm.
Um like I had a guy who was a friend of mine. It was basically like it was kind of like an abusive relationship, except it was a friendship. It was really
Right.
and I was I don't know if I really want to go there, but it's my mom was like, well, that happened a long time ago. Like why why is it still affecting you? And I'm like, I tried to explain it. I'm like, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't go away. It just, you just have to figure out a way to quote The Walking Dead, coming kind of full circle back to The Walking Dead here. You got to make room for it.
Yeah, that's absolutely, yeah, and like, yeah, I could think that kind of fits in. It's like, there's no making it go away. There's no erasing it. You just have to kind of learn how to. But it's weird how scenarios like that just kind of live with us for a long time. So one of the things dealing with my ex, people would be like, well, why don't you just leave? He's, so, you don't like, you're not in love with him anymore. He's so mentally abusive. Why don't you just leave? Well, one of the things that he would tell me is like, if you leave, I'm going to end up like homeless on the street and I'm going to die and it's going to be all your fault. Or, if you try to leave, I'm going to kill myself type
Oh,
things.
yeah.
Well, he actually did pass away several years back. And I still have days where I think about that and I'm like, wait, was that my fault? Because that's literally what he told me, was that that was what was going to happen if I left, and that it would be my fault. So, it's been 13 years since, I was with him, and probably about 4 or 5 years since he passed. And I still have days where I'm like, was this my fault? Did I cause this? And I have to, talk myself through it. No, you didn't cause this. He made bad decisions. But yeah, and I'll probably have thoughts like that for the rest of my life, just because that's how things sit with us and they just kind of form into our brain, and then that just becomes a part of who we are.
Yeah, the person I've had the friendship with, I was actually afraid he was gonna like physically harm me. So that was, imagine being like 12 and dealing with that. It was not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It's hard being so young too, because you're still forming your ideas and thoughts about the world, and when that's what you're learning or being taught by somebody else, that's definitely hard.
Yeah, and like to this day, I still kind of I'm nervous. Like I annoy people, or I'm like scaring people off, or something like that might happen again.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird how that works. I I might read your book then. It sounds like something I would like.
Cool.
And I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, it touches on a lot of topics, and I mean, there's definitely a love story in there, but it's kind of the focus at the same time. It's not. There's a lot of other things going on as far as action and carrying along the plot. So I didn't want to make it just about this love story, but I didn't want to make it just about this crazy, apocalypse type thing. I kind of wanted it to be a nice blend of both.
You wanted to try and like make a little, try to bring it together.
Yes, exactly. And I think I accomplished that in a decent way.
Yeah, that's always good. I don't it's cool. Yeah, I was gonna say something else, but then it just kind of went away.
It happens.
It's kind of funny we're talking about this, because yesterday I was kind of unloading on a stream about my some of my past relationships. I mean, I've not had an abusive relationship, thankfully. But I've had a couple where like I've gotten cheated on. That's not fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of ranting about that. I was like, like one of my first ex-girlfriend, she you'll like this one. We I was at a bit of a low point in my life, and we were doing things. You can imagine. And and she had cheated on me with a friend of mine, and I was like, all right, and it was weird because I wasn't like that angry. It was like after it happened, and I was like in such a low state of mind, like it didn't process. But then she like tried doing the old, she was like, oh, he was coming on to me, I still love you and all that, and I was like, that made me mad. Like that made me angry. I'm like, you just think I'm the stupidest man alive. Come on.
Right.
I mean, I'm fine with it now. She's married and doing her thing, and I wish her well. But like, that made me mad. I don't know what it is, but just like, I'm like, I probably should have been more mad that she abused my trust, but I was more mad that she thought I would be stupid enough to fall for that. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's one thing to make a mistake and then tell somebody that you made a mistake, but then it's another thing to act like it wasn't your fault, and that's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, God, it's. I yeah. But yeah, I just for some reason yesterday I was unloading about my old relationships for some reason.
It's always nice to purge once in a while.
And and like no one really seemed to mind. They were just like, "Yeah, Britton, go get." Or no, they were actually talking about cheating in the comments, and that's why it kind of brought it up. And I was like, "All right, I guess I'll get in on it." But yeah. Um, did that ex cheat on you?
Yes, yeah. Um, and he was the type of person who, I remember we had some friends over and I had come downstairs and there was a girl that lived down the street that was over and she had her hands on his stomach like in a very like way that you wouldn't if you were not interested in someone. And I brought it up to him later, and it ended up getting turned around on me somehow. So that was just the kind of things like things like that couldn't even be brought up or argued about because it would somehow be my fault. But yeah, he ended up with that girl, and they had 2 kids together. So yeah,
I'm sorry for those kids. To be honest with you.
yeah, me too.
Oh man, that sucks. I'm sorry about that. That
It's okay.
sounds really rough. I know I said
It's
that to
like
you the other day. But like, geez,
It's okay. I mean, everything, like I said, my husband and I have been together for 12 years now, and he's awesome. And everything is just a building block of making us who we are. And sometimes it can help us create art. And that's what I chose to do with it. So it works out.
Fair enough. Yeah, I just that's always good. I think that's with a lot of. I know this is probably a very spicy take, but I think it's like that with a lot of authors.
Yeah.
Where like they pull from past experiences. I know I
Yeah, for
have.
sure.
I mean, I like to think I have a pretty boring life. I haven't really had a very eventful life so far, but I've had I've had experiences, and those experiences find their way in my or like something I enjoy doing. Will find their way in my books
Yeah,
or something I
absolutely.
work on. I'll be like, oh, okay, this all right.
Yeah, especially since researching things can be. I do research things, but sometimes it's like I just want to get the scene out.
Same.
And, if a character needs a hobby, well, guess what? Now they play video games because that's what I like to do.
Well, in the book I wrote, video games don't exist in that world, so
Fair
unfortunately,
enough. Yeah.
I can't have them play video games. Um, but so what are you working on next? I know you said you're working on a sequel. Apparently, it's a duology. It's
Yes, Dark Bloom will be a duology.
if you could
So I'm
tell, I
working.
did some homework before this conversation.
Perfect. Yep, and that'll be the final. I'm really close to being done with my first draft. So Dark Bloom is 68,000 words, and I am at 65,000 with my second. So that is exciting. I have a couple of other projects that I've just kind of mess around with, but nothing that I am really concrete about. Like, yes, this is going to be a thing. Most of it's just been stuff that I've had fun writing. Um, so yeah, that's the only official thing that I have in the works for this year. Gosh, I keep saying next year.
We're only 2 days into
That's
2025,
true.
so you know what? I'll forgive you for saying that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, yesterday there was like I said, there was a terrorist attack, and I was like, my God, we're only a day into 2025.
I
Something's
know. Can we
going down.
have a little bit of time? Just a little bit. But
Yeah,
nope.
no, it was like when the 2021 thing happened with the government. I was like, guys, we're like barely in the 2021. Can we
Yeah.
wait for this another time? Like, come on.
Yeah, and now the months just roll by so fast, and there's always just something going down, something to be worried about, something to stress about, which is why I just like to read books and play video games and hang out with my family and not worry try not to worry about what is going on in the world.
Same. I just got a PS5 recently, so I've been playing a lot on that. It's been taking up a lot
Nice.
of time I could be using reading, but I'm like, man, this is worth it. Playing the
Yeah, it's
Arkham Knight
fun.
games. Playing the Arkham
Oh,
games.
okay. Very cool. I think my husband's played those on PC. He liked those a lot.
Yeah, you can. Or I haven't played much on. I played Gary's Mod. Have you ever played Gary's Mod before?
I have it. I don't know if I've played it.
Oh
I know my
well,
friends have played
I would
it.
play that back in the day with some friends of mine. It's fun. Like they have a little prop hunt. They have Trouble in Terrorist
Okay.
Town, and I don't know if you watch gaming YouTubers. I don't know how much YouTube you watch. It sounds like you're pretty busy, so maybe not a lot. But um, yeah, but there's a lot of gaming YouTubers who play Gmod or Gary's Mod. I don't play a lot
Okay.
of like because my old computers would like suck and wouldn't like work properly. So yeah, just
Yeah, I haven't I try to watch YouTube when I can, but mostly it's for book content. I have some friends that stream on Twitch, and that's really about as far as I get on Twitch, but yeah, I don't have a lot of time for YouTube or Twitch, unfortunately.
fair enough. I mean, it's you got two little kitties. I bet they take up a lot of time.
Yeah,
Chasing
that
them
and
around the
work
house.
and yeah. Yeah.
The husband, I don't know. What is if you don't mind me asking, what does your husband do now?
He's an IT.
Oh, you said he was a sheriff's deputy.
He used to be.
He used to be. That must have been pretty cool.
Yeah, he enjoyed it and he thought law
Either that
enforcement
or
was
it
going
was
to.
really stressful, or both.
Well, it was that, but I think he thought that that was what he was going to do, like, retire doing, but he ended up developing some health issues and had to quit the sheriff's department. So
Mm,
that then he got into computers.
mm. Okay, yeah, I see. Wait, so you said he got into computers?
Well, he'd always enjoyed, like we built our PCs and he
Oh,
fiddled
that's
around with
cool.
stuff like that, but just kind of he started going to school for cybersecurity and getting more into it and trying to, I guess, work at making it more a career rather than just a hobby.
Mm, mm-hmm. I see. Um, and you work with like pharmacy stuff, like
Yeah.
it's like do you work in an office or like do you actually work at a pharmacy?
Yeah, I work at a retail pharmacy, so I'm behind the counter putting scripts together, ringing people up. I manage my pharmacy team, typing scripts and all that good stuff.
Oh, sounds fun.
Mm.
You didn't even play along. You're like,
No, I like the people I work with.
Okay, that's always good.
Yeah.
My dad's always telling me about some of the people he works with, and I'm like, oh my god, man, like, I'm sorry. Like, well, they don't hire the best and the brightest where I work. I'm like,
Yeah, that can be tough. I feel like we've been lucky enough that we've had kind of the same group of people for a long time, but we've also like half of us at this point are like newer and the other half are experienced. So it's been difficult because we're so busy it's hard to train people to do all the things that the experienced people can do, but then you just have all the experienced people doing all of the hardest tasks. So it's just a lot and
and I
busy.
heard like the insurance kind of has to reset. Do you guys have to deal with that where you work? Because
I
my
mean, we
dad,
run things through insurance, but we don't deal with any like specifics or anything. We
because
just hit buttons and run things through.
my dad he always talks about during this time of year. He's like, oh my god, like the thing gets set back and
Oh,
everyone has to figure out. Yeah, I'm only 23 years old, so you can take what I'm saying with a grain of salt here, but
well, a lot of people's plans change over at the beginning of the year. And
that's probably what it
so,
is.
yeah, so like yesterday was the first, and I have people coming in. They're like, I just came in to bring you my new insurance card. And I want to be like, it is New Year's Day. Go home and hang out with your family or do something other than bring me your new insurance card. But yeah, I had a ton of people like, here's my new card. I'm like, thanks. Thank you so much for that. I'll put this in the system. Have a good day. And the bad thing is I would say 80% of the time our system can find new insurance plans. Like we're pretty, we're pretty profound in this era of technology at this point that we don't necessarily even need a physical card. We can just do a search with your information. So half the time they're bringing their cards down. I don't even need them. So
Did a light just come on?
yes, a light just came on.
It was. I know you said earlier you're reading something called Scourge, but are you reading anything else at the moment, or just Scourge?
Just Scourge. I don't ever like try to read more than one paperback at once because I know that I will just it'll just mess things up for me. So I'm reading that. I'm gonna start the audio of World War Z on Saturday. And then I have my TBR lined up probably for the next 4 or 5 books after Scourge.
So what books are you planning on getting to, if you don't mind my asking?
So I am going to read, this probably won't be in the correct order. It's just going to be what I can think of. Aaron Payne's Falling into Oblivion.
Oh, yeah. I've talked to him. Bibliotheory, yeah.
Yes, that. And then Steve Stark's A Hot Dose of Hell.
Ooh, I actually have that. I was going to read it last year for Halloween, and it didn't happen, unfortunately. But I would like to do. Maybe this year I can get it. I'll get it.
Yeah.
I'll get it, Steve.
Yeah. Those are my next 2. And then I'm going to read a book called Rebel Unbound by E.R. Phoenix. So she's an indie author. And so Matt from Beard of Darkness, his wife really loved Dark Bloom, and she was asking me for book recs. And I mentioned this book to her, but I told her, I said, I haven't read it, but it sounds, just from reading, the blurb, it sounds like it's pretty similar to what I wrote. But again, I haven't read it, so I don't know. Well, she read it. She absolutely loved it. She's on to, I think, the second book in the series. So I had planned to read it anyway, but I picked it up and it's on my shelf, and I'll be reading that soon. And that is all I can think of for right now.
Fair enough. I mean, it's good to keep things small. I mean, being on BookTube can be pretty tough because the TBR just goes out of... I'm not complaining. I'm trying not to complain here because I love reading, and I like doing this channel. But at the same time, a lot of books to read and keep up with and all that.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys do it, man. Like, just that's why I don't ever want it to become like a too much and stress me out. So that's why I just keep my TBR very small. I usually just keep it in the order of when the books came in. Of course, like I said, I try to keep my own genre in the mix, so I might put a book or 2 ahead if I need to. But yeah, that's definitely a lot to handle.
Yeah, my brain.
So I can't imagine.
My issue usually is that, like, again, my kind of, I guess you call it ADD brain goes, ooh, look, another book that sounds interesting. Ooh, another book that sounds, I kind of want to read that. And just like, it'll drive you nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm so strict with myself. One book at a time, other than my audiobooks. One book, that's it.
Because you like let yourself go. You're like, ooh, book. Oh, yeah, that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I'll have 20 books that I'm half, like a chapter or 2 into, and it's not going to work.
And you're like, damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, no, it's a... But I mean, it's not that bad. But it's sometimes you can be like, okay, I gotta calm down with this. Gotta calm down with the DVR a little bit.
Yeah, and I feel bad too. I enjoy reading books, especially indie books, and then I love writing up my reviews and going to Canva and making my little graphics. And it's funny because Canva is a recently discovered love of mine, so I pushed out a bunch of reviews at one time, so it looked like I was reading all these books really fast, but really I just started making graphics for books I had read over the year. And I actually had people messaging me like, hey, I'd love to send you my book if you'd love, if you'd like to review it. I see you do book reviews. And I was like, no. Like, I don't want to say no, but I also don't want to I don't like giving myself commitments or obligations like that. So I'm like, I don't really do book reviews. I just make some graphics for books that I read.
Like, here's usually what I do. I go like, okay, you can send me some books if you want, but I won't promise that I'll read them soon. So I hope you can just deal with that. And most
Yeah,
people,
that's a good way to do
and
it.
most people are pretty cool with it. They're like, hey, as long as you got it and you'll read it at some point, I'm good with
Yeah.
it. And you know, I haven't gotten one who's been like, well, why aren't you reading it right now? I mean, maybe they exist. I haven't met them yet, and
That's
hopefully I
good.
don't meet them because that would just not be fun.
Yeah, I just couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine being like that. If somebody can even tell me that they're reading my book and I don't go in and be like, well, what do you think? Did you like this? You know,
Yeah.
how far are you? I just leave them alone because if they want to tell me something, they'll let me know. That's just the way I go about
I
it.
also feel awkward when I see indie authors because like I don't want to be that guy who goes like, could you give me some free books maybe? You know, like I don't want to. I want to be that guy. You know.
Right.
Unless I'm
I
like,
get that.
unless I'm like really cool with you, like you know, like I have a friend, my friend Joe Byrne. He does some books called Hybrid Helix. It's Wistful Ascending.
Yeah.
And Return to Griffin, some other books. I can like be like, hey Joe, chip me up with some books, and he'll be like, yeah, sure, here you go, buddy,
That's
we're
cool.
cool with each other, you know. But like, you probably not. I mean, if you wanted to send me a free book, I'm not gonna say no, but I'm probably not gonna be like, could I have some free books? You know, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll send you one of my books, but I totally get being like, I think it's okay. I think most indie authors would be honored to be asked.
Because I dread them being like, oh, so you're just hitting me up so you can get free books, huh? Go away, go to the Amazon.
No, I think most of them would be like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if you were like a stranger that I'd never met before and you were like, hey, can I get a free book? I'd be like, here's the Amazon link. But no, somebody in the book community, yeah, I think most indie authors are totally fine with that.
To be honest, it's probably my anxiety brain talking, so it's probably not very rational, but it's something I try to keep to because you know I want people to feel like, or I want people to know that I value their time. You know, I'm not
for sure. Yeah,
I mean, if I wanted
that.
to hit you up for free books, I'd be like, hey, give me those free books.
You got those books?
Yeah. You just have like a little trench coat and you have dark bloom just hanging on them.
I got you some dark. Yeah, well, that's what I was trying to do. So, you
were trying to like peddle dark bloom by trench coat.
I was trying to peddle some promo codes for Spotify.
Oh, okay.
Because Spotify gave me 100 audiobook promo codes. So 100. I was like, oh my gosh. I think Spotify is working at trying to. I don't think they have any hopes of being as big as Audible, but I think they're trying to get their, audiobook listener count up. So they just throw promo codes at authors. So I had 100 of them, and I was like, I at first I was like, I just offered to my friends and family, and then I went to like my dearest author communities and was like, would anybody like some codes? And then I was like asking anybody on TikTok, Threads. I was just throwing it out there, like, does anybody want? And I gave away a lot, but I still have some. So yeah, that was me. I had the.
Do you have do you have an audiobook for Dark Bloom?
Yeah. There is an audiobook that is out. It's on Audible, Spotify, Apple.
Oh,
whatever
really?
They do.
Who did it?
His Joe James is his name.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yep.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, no. Yeah. Generally, I try to like start a rapport before I ask for free books. Like that's the rule.
Yeah, that makes sense. But...
I don't want to be like a book junkie, even though I already am a book junkie. So it's kind of.
I don't think being a book junkie. There's a lot of other worse junkies to be. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a more like it's more of it's more useful use of time. I'd think.
Absolutely.
Unless you're like one of those like real practical types, is like, well, I like building things with my hands. I don't have time for these books. There's a couple people like that out here. I live in Oklahoma, so there's farmers.
Yeah.
Not where I'm at. I'm in an urban area, but like it's kind of funny when people are like, "Oh, so like is there a bunch of farms where you're at?" I'm like, "Yeah, you go a couple hours there are, but where I'm at, no."
Right. Yeah.
But in Virginia, they're like, "Oh, are there plantations over there?" I'm like, "Yeah, probably. Like you could drive a couple hours, you'll see it."
Yeah, pretty close to me where I'm from. I'm in a fairly rural area of Virginia, so
Oh, okay.
which I
That
prefer.
that analogy backfired a bit.
That's okay.
Kind of backfired there.
I prefer the rural area, trust me.
So like when you hear like weird spooky noises at night, you're like, yes, this is what I'm. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Somebody was like, "Man, like, I don't know." Somebody made a joke about my house being haunted, and I was like, "No, unfortunately, it's not haunted. Like, it's just a boring, regular house."
You have a lot of spooky stuff in there. Like I see a little bat. Is that a bat or is that Mothman next to you?
No, it's a bat. It actually does have something to do with dark bloom. It's
Oh, are there bats in Dark Bloom?
there's one.
Oh,
There's one.
does he have a pet
My
bat?
mom. No, it's a stuffed bat that
Oh,
is
okay.
given as a gift.
Oh,
So, so my mom bought me this for my birthday. So I thought that was pretty cool.
that's nice.
Yeah,
It's nice
I
your
don't have
mom.
my husband has 3D printed me some little Mothman things, but I don't have any of them next to me. So,
Thanks, Miss Macabre, or whatever her name is. I don't know. Thanks, Mom Macabre. Doing
Yep.
well. Sounds really weird. I'm sorry. It was...
Yeah, somebody referred to her as Mama Macabre the other day, and I was like, "Well, that's your new nickname, Mom."
Well, I mean, I don't want to keep you here for too much longer. We've been going on for a little bit. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I definitely did.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a
Um,
blast.
if you have any like social media or anything you'd like to promote or anything before, as I like to do before I end these, feel free to share or tell people where to find your book. That's fine too.
Yeah, so my book's on Amazon. It's Kindle Unlimited and the paperback, and it's on Audible. It's on Spotify. I'm on pretty much all the socials. I'm on X, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter. Well, Twitter is X. I'm on TikTok, Blue Sky, Threads, all the things. You can find me anywhere. Facebook, I'm there too. It's fun. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you, Molly, for coming on. And I'm probably gonna hop off and get to some Sledge versus the Labyrinth. I'm kind
There
of
you go. Enjoy.
snapping at the teeth to read some more of that. So
Yes.
yeah, until next time, see you guys later.
All right. Thanks so much for having me.
All right.